Napoleon said, number one, a leader needs unflinching courage. And I don't know if I entirely agree with unwavering aspect of this or not, because sometimes our courage does waver a bit. You know, bend but not break. Courage rises up, and then occasionally doubts sneak in. And we have to go a bit deeper to find that courage that overcomes our doubts and concerns. So, I would probably dispute a little with Napoleon on this, unwavering courage, since occasionally courage does waver, people. But as long as it stays, as long as, in the end, there it is to serve you, the courage to do what you didn't think you could do, the courage to step into unfamiliar territory, the courage to talk to someone you don't know, the courage to attempt conducting a meeting, the courage to give your first testimonial, the courage to solve problems you couldn't solve before, that kind of courage, the bravery to stand up when it's dark in your corner, the fortitude to do it when things aren't going your way, the courage to strive to have a good day in the midst of a bad one, that kind of courage, wavering a little at times. Yes, since we all have doubts that attack us, we all have minor concerns that creep in. That is the nature of existence. But that's what faith is all about. That's what courage is all about. To serve us when our doubts will not serve us well. Faith to overcome fear, and bravery to overcome uncertainty. But that is a good quality, a good virtue for a leader. And that's unflinching courage. Second, Napoleon said self-control. That, of course, is the entire basis of existence itself. Self-control. Because we all have this struggle going on. You know, it's going on around the world. The struggle between liberty and tyranny. In our own bodies, the fight between health and illness. The struggle is on. The fight between light and darkness. The conflict between good and evil. I call it opposites in conflict. And as soon as you're born into the world, as soon as you find yourself on this spinning planet traveling somewhere, you know that this exists. To be a civilized society, we must force the dark half of our nature into a little corner and let the positive side bloom. Early on, we must learn to practice self-control. Power is a beautiful thing, but it must be utilized responsibly. It must be exercised to benefit, not to destroy. So, self-discipline is obviously required to be a successful leader, so that you may become the best example. The example of having your temper well managed, of having the dark side of your nature under control. The perfect example of choosing sensible words and not being thoughtless. That kind of control. Control of your appetite. Control of your desires, so that they fit into the positive side of life and not the negative. Self-control, very crucial. Then he added, a leader must have a good sense of justice. How very accurate. Justice. Something we get familiar with even when we're small. When some things happened or were done to us. Something told us it wasn't right, right? Someone did us wrong. We have that sense of right and wrong, and it starts very early. Then we have to develop that sense, understanding what's right and what's wrong, so that we have this great sense of justice. The idea of being fair, the sense of being on the positive side, on the right side. To limit mistakes, a person requires this feeling of fairness. We must have justice when constructing an organization. What's fair? What's a decent balance? The marketing strategy that Mark put together has to be fair for everyone. If you have a customer and take care of that customer, someone else cannot come along and take that customer. The same is true with a distributor. Certain rules and regulations ensure that all of us have an opportunity to fit inside this framework of fairness, justice, and what's right. Otherwise, enterprise cannot work. Otherwise, we have what we term, in a political sense, anarchy, where there is no justice, where might is the order of the day, where power rules instead of law, instead of what's right. and we would all dismiss that. It's been a calamity in the previous 6,000 years. The governments that resorted to power instead of democracy, that resorted to intimidation instead of freedom. And we all know the awful toll that takes. But it takes a toll not only politically in a country or around the world, but even in enterprise. It takes a toll in school. If a teacher is unfair, it takes a toll while working in a team. When someone is unfair or when leadership does not administer justice equitably. So, this is true. A deep sense of justice, of what's fair and what's right. Part of this we have to learn as we go. You don't have it all in the first year. You haven't got it all in the second year, or the third. After all the years that I've been around, both as a human being and a business person, we're still, even at these years, trying to decide what's best, what's fair, what's important to give balance to our lives, and to develop a stable foundation for the future. I agree with Napoleon Hill on this. A feeling of justice is vital. Here's another phrase from him. Definiteness of decision. He stated, indecision is the thief of opportunity. If you don't decide, opportunities could slip away. If you don't decide what you're going to do today, the day can slip away, and you won't be as effective. I recently spoke on time management, and here's one of the best ideas. Don't start the day until you've finished it. Is it feasible to finish the day before it begins? Yes, it is. If you don't finish it to the best of your ability or have a clear plan, the day can slip away. You might wake up and ask, what should I do now? Then in the afternoon, you'll realize time is passing away. What should I do now? By then, most of the day is lost, not being used effectively. It doesn't work because you didn't make those early judgments. The choices we make early in life can sometimes endure a lifetime. The early judgments about what we want to achieve, especially with herbalife, are crucial. If we overlook them, time passes and opportunities dwindle. Then we wind ourselves playing catch up simply because we didn't make those early judgments. It's the decisions we make early in the day, early in the month, and early in the year that decide the direction of our life. The decisions we make at the beginning of our marriage can potentially affect the partnership for a lifetime. The decisions we make when an opportunity arises, what we do with it, how far we take it, and what it means for our future, are tremendously crucial. Then there are decisions to repair faults. We all make stupid choices at times. By the end of a week, month, or even a few years, we might regret such decisions. They might have cost us time, money, relationships, or productivity. But as long as you're alive, there's always an opportunity to use your decision-making capacity to fix those mistakes. We can all do this. Napoleon Hill was right. Be definite in your selections so opportunities don't pass you by. Next, Napoleon said a good leader has defined plans. How significant is that? In all the years I've been involved, this year could be one of the best opportunities to ride the momentum of Herbalife's growth and create plans for the future. Over the last 18 years, Herbalife has developed great momentum, not just in expanding into new countries, but also in refining our marketing, producing new products, and enhancing our support systems. The goal now is to develop preparations to ride that wave of momentum. Herbalife is like the tide that comes in. Rising tides raise all the ships that are in the water. If your boat isn't in the water, the tide won't assist you. So, here's the plan. Develop your plans for the future with the same zeal that Mark Hughes had, as well as the president's team and chairman's club. Take advantage of the momentum and don't let it pass by. If you've lost some time, whether it's a month, a week, or a year, now is the time to fix all that. Your intentions for Herbalife's future are essential. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. Consider the global expansion, the business incentives, and all the ways Herbalife is growing. You need to establish plans for your business and your family. One of the issues we all encounter in establishing plans is balancing everything. You want to avoid regrets at the end of the year, thinking, I spent too much time on this, or I spent too much money on that. Instead, develop better strategies that will prevent regret in the future. Definite plans are crucial, especially regarding your finances. One thing I've liked about Mark Hughes is how, from the outset, he built a strong plan for his personal success as well as the company's. He ensured the corporation had adequate of reserves, which is vital while doing business in 37 nations. The task of making sure there are plans for each country, backup plans and finance strategies, cannot be overlooked. Well, as products, possibilities, and marketing go, it is a problem beyond comprehension for most of us. What type of planning does it require to ensure Herbalife remains secure into the future? I stated in one of the summit classes, Mark takes a commitment identical to the one the President of the United States takes to maintain, protect, and defend. The President promises to respect the Constitution, but Mark must preserve, protect, and defend the corporation, assuring its sustainability not just in America, where it started, but internationally. It's an incredible duty. Now, let's speak about your plans. Your plans to be financially comfortable. If you're starting to earn large income with Herbalife, I'm telling you, you must have a sound strategy for your resources so you can keep security regardless of what happens. I agree with Napoleon Hill here. You must have good ideas. One final concept on planning the strategy for your own development. The plan to be better this year than previous year. The strategy to take lessons, attend workshops, and do everything necessary to demonstrate personal improvement. Not just financial progress, not just the acquisition of another car or another home, but progress in personality, communication skills, recruiting skills, and people skills. Progress in leveraging your influence so that its power multiplies fivefold, tenfold, beyond what it was previously. You need these kinds of plans. A plan for personal growth, personal development. A strategy to be the best version of yourself in the next years as you create your Herbalife business, your life, and your family's future. Next, Napoleon Hill had a saying, something my father passed on to me as a great philosophy. He added, a good leader has the habit of doing more than what he gets paid for. What a wonderful mindset! The habit of doing more than you get paid for is what we call service. Planting seeds that don't bring an immediate harvest, but the harvest is sure to come. It's like investing capital in capitalism. Doing more than you get compensated for entails planning for your next move upward. The normal individual could believe, if I do more than what the company requires, they're taking advantage of me. I'm not getting paid for that extra time, that extra effort. But you must not see it that way. Instead, you must say, I'm arriving early, staying late, making an investment in my future. Because you want that reputation of that attitude directing your life, doing more than you are paid for. This philosophy is highly powerful in Herbalife. When you make a sale, you must go beyond what you've been compensated for. The customer has the product. You have the money, but your work isn't done. Now, you must devote time, work, and energy in turning that consumer into a testimonial. And oftentimes, that's the hardest part, the labor after the sale. The sale itself can be easy. Someone says, I need this product, delivers you the money and makes the purchase. But you must follow up. Ensure people not just buy the product but also utilize it and continue using it. That's the true investment. If you learn to make this kind of investment, doing more than you're paid for, the future payback can be enormous. Because in Herbalife, what actually pays off isn't simply selling a product, it's establishing a testimonial. A testimonial that pulls you more customers than you can handle. A testimony that unlocks doors you never could have reached on your own. That kind of investment is powerful. I've seen it firsthand. When I started lecturing 36 years ago, I talked to high school and college classes, service clubs. I gave my remarks out for free. Someone would say, "Mr. Ron, would you speak at our breakfast event?" I'd answer, "Sure." "Could you give a talk at our lunch meeting?" Of course. In the beginning, it was all unpaid, but look what it led to. Given that kind of service in the early days eventually established a business, an enterprise. Years ago, I was presenting a class in Los Angeles and Mark Hughes was in my audience. So, don't worry about what you don't get paid for. Just offer the service with a vision of the future. It will return to you tenfold. If you embrace this practice and mentality, the benefits will be spectacular. Next, Napoleon Hill talks about personality. You need a charming personality. There are numerous parts to it. Your professional personality, the behavior and attitude you bring to the public. Some things you might get away with in private, but in public, where your income and your business's future depend on it, you must be at your best. But remember this, you cultivate your personality in private so that it suits you effectively in public. Some people assume they can be irresponsible in front of a few people and then more careful when addressing thousands. But it doesn't operate that way. Carelessness with a few always crosses over to the many. Build good habits, and they will shape your success. We'll crawl into your presentation for 1,000 people. Here's the best practice, and the Herbalife opportunity in our marketing system gives you the best chance to do that. The influence you have one-on-one, that's what really counts. You might say, "Well, I'm only talking to 2 people. It doesn't matter much." That's when it really matters, because if you practice well there, using your personality and influence to get someone's attention, to get them to listen, to get them to participate, the kind of personality that makes someone say, "I'd like to be around this person. They're unusual. They're not like the average person I meet in my everyday experience." That kind of personality. But you've got to rehearse it behind the scenes. You've got to practice one-on-one. And if you're effective one-on-one, 5, I promise you that will prepare you to perform with the type of personality and charisma that captivates people when you're in front of 500 or 1,000 or even 5,000 people. So this is a critical point, working on your personality. Here's the best gift you can offer someone, the gift of attention. Attention is tremendously powerful. When I was a young guy, I met Nelson Rockefeller, one of the richest individuals in America at the time. He's gone now, but he was a fascinating guy, even campaigning for Vice President of the United States. I had the opportunity to be where he was conducting a news conference, and I got near enough so that when he went out, I had a chance to step up. Back when security wasn't as strict, I stuck out my hand, shook his hand, and said, "Mr. Rockefeller, my name is Billy Graham." What I remember most was the attention he gave me. With all the lights, cameras, and people around, he looked right at me and said, "Billy Graham, where are you from?" I replied, "Idaho." He said, "I really like Idaho. It's one of my favorite states in the country." For just a few seconds, he gave me his full attention, shook my hand, and I'll never forget it. It was a handshake worth millions, but more significantly, it was the personal attention he offered me. That little experience had a lasting impression on me. which is why I remember to relate this story. You can learn to do the same. Utilize your personality, use your influence, and give people the gift of attention. Here's the rest of my list as we wrap off. Napoleon Hill stated a leader needed sympathy and understanding. We must develop that early in our lives and nurture it throughout. We have to identify those less fortunate than we are, those who need a helping hand. Now, more than ever, we must recognize people who need an opportunity, those who need improved health, those who need a shift in their lives and behaviors. This kind of sympathy and understanding is what led Mark Hughes to start this company. It requires deep emotional intelligence and a feeling of purpose. Mark knew what it meant to be impoverished. He recognized lack of cash, lack of resources, lack of formal education. But instead of complaining, he said, I will change this for myself, and then I'll help others who face the same challenges. Lack of education, lack of money, lack of resources, poor health, and difficulties they can't solve on their own. He resolved to fix his own problems so he could be strong enough to help others. That style of leadership is really strong. Here's the third crucial attribute Napoleon Hill identified: mastery of details. This is completely true. A simple oversight can lead to substantial loss. Think contemplating a voyage to the moon. Everything must function flawlessly. There are thousands of moving elements in a moon trip, and every single one must work. You can't have only 90% or 8 of them functioning. They all need to perform properly. Even then, there are backup mechanisms in place for potential breakdowns. This amount of attention to detail is vital. But here's another essential point: the drama is in the details. Someone can declare, I lost 30 pounds. That's terrific, but the actual story, the drama, is in the journey. Where were you before you found herbalife? How did you feel? What were your circumstances? When someone reveals these specifics, the transition becomes more compelling. After reducing weight, how do they feel now? Has their self-confidence been restored? Do they feel better about themselves? The details bring the story to life. The same applies to your daily tasks, your business, and your communication. Master the details. This is fantastic advice from Napoleon Hill. Now, here are the final 3 crucial traits. First, a desire to assume full responsibility. We've all been taught this, especially in these Herbalife years, to assume 100% responsibility. Mark Hughes said, what happened to me might not have been my responsibility, but what I do about it is. He experienced difficulties. Some people harmed him in his early business efforts. Some took the money and left him holding the bag, but he didn't linger on that. He realized the problem and asked himself, now, what am I going to do about it? If a hailstorm kills a farmer's crop, he wasn't responsible for the storm, but his responsibility begins the instant the storm passes. Now that the damage is done, he must ask himself, what should I do now? That's the thinking of a leader. What should I do about it? A theory I've preached all these years is that it's not what happens to you that defines your future. It's what you do about what occurs that molds your destiny. A key element of this is accepting full responsibility. If you have an organization, you're having meetings, and you're the leader, the burden ultimately lies with you. Others may make mistakes, but it's still your responsibility. There are things beyond your control. Understandable. But what matters is what you do about it, how you solve it, the diplomacy you use, the strategy you apply. That kind of accountability is what genuinely rests on you. Also, you must accept responsibility for your future. No one else is going to fix it, create it, or ensure everything works out for you. You have to take in all the input, testimony, instruction, and influence, then take responsibility for changing your life. You can build a life of prosperity, or you can choose to just drift along. The responsibility is yours. Now, here's the next key: cooperation. One of the fantastic things we learn in Herbalife is how to cooperate, how to use each other's ideas, insight, passion, testimonials, and drive to grow. That kind of teamwork is what built Herbalife. In the early days, Mark assembled the group, Jerry Shenovich, Doug Stuntz, and others, to make arrangements for collaboration. They concluded that working together may create impactful meetings and allow them to reach more people faster. An ancient adage says, if 2 or 3 agree, nothing is impossible. When they share the same vision and strategy, nothing can stand in their way. What's great about Herbalife now is that we have considerably more than just 2 or 3. The president's team is growing, the chairman's club is expanding, and the millionaire team is both huge and powerful. Cooperation among all of us, distributors, support workers, home office teams, is the key. If we work together, there's no one we can't reach, no country we can't extend into with this amazing message. That's why I'm here, to do my part, send out ideas, give you notes to take, something to think, and discuss with your team as you create your firm. This cooperation will make the year powerful. It will take us to $2 billion, $3 billion, $5 billion. But more than simply numbers. It will bring us honor, respect, prestige, influence, and the great satisfaction of knowing our hard work is making a difference. I want to collaborate with you to build your business. By partnering with Herbalife Support System, we are on our way. The billions will come, the stories will be told, and the experiences will define our future. Now, here's the last key vision. Napoleon Hill believed that a major element of leadership is vision. Vision comes in many parts. Having a direction to pursue, a clear goal for your financial future, your health, your riches. Vision is something to hold on to and grow upon. It spreads to your family, since great vision lifts others as well as oneself. Your family counts on you to see things they might not yet detect, to glimpse further into the future than they can. The same applies to your organization. People around you depend on your vision. If you've been in the industry longer than they have, they will look to you to assist them uncover chances they may not realize at first. If you acquire this leadership attribute, you will have a deep impact on your team. It will be absolutely extraordinary. A vision for yourself, for your family, for your organization, and for people near to you is vital. The old prophet declared, "Without vision, we perish." If we cannot look into the future, life loses significance. If we solely focus on where we are now, we lack the desire for faith and action. But by cultivating vision, more than any other skill, you will inspire people. They will want to be with you because you offer a clear path forward. Not only do we need short-range vision for this week, for this month, this year, but also long-range vision, just as Mark has for Herbalife, taking us to $5 billion and beyond. Your vision may propel your firm into the future, delivering prosperity to everyone involved.